The neighborhood had always moved at a gentle pace. Mornings arrived quietly, marked by garage doors lifting in unison and the soft hum of engines warming in driveways. Porch lights clicked off one by one as the sun rose higher. Neighbors waved without stopping, familiar faces sharing unspoken routines. For years, the Homeowners Association existed mostly in the background. It sent newsletters no one fully read, reminders no one questioned, and annual fee statements that felt routine rather than threatening. It was dull, predictable, safe, until the letter arrived. It appeared in mailboxes on the same afternoon, folded neatly, printed on heavy paper with the HOA logo stamped at the top. The language was formal, polished, and calm, almost reassuring. Due to rising fuel prices affecting operational costs, the fees would increase. Not slightly, noticeably. Inside their homes, reactions varied but followed the same emotional arc. A retired couple sat at their kitchen table, glasses pushed low on their noses as they read the numbers twice. They had planned carefully for years. Every dollar had a place. This increase had none. A single parent paused mid-laundry, phone in hand, calculating silently. Groceries had gone up. Utilities too. There was no extra space left. A young family stared at the letter after the kids had gone to bed, whispering so they wouldn't wake them. They had just adjusted to the last increase. This one felt heavier. The reason, according to the HOA, was unavoidable. Fuel costs, maintenance, security, transportation. Words that sounded reasonable enough to discourage questions. Still, something felt off. Outside, nothing had changed. The landscaping crew still came on the same days. The security car passed less often, if anything. Streetlights flickered the same way they always had. No improvements. No explanations. Just higher fees. That night, one homeowner sat alone and read the letter again. Slower this time. The percentages didn't seem to match the justification. The phrasing avoided specifics. They folded the paper carefully and placed it back on the table. And for the first time in years, the HOA didn't feel boring anymore. Felt watchful. Pressure without answers. The following weeks brought a quiet shift. Payment reminders arrived sooner than expected. The language was still polite but firmer now. Deadlines were bolded. Late fees mentioned casually as if already assumed. At HOA meetings, chairs filled faster than usual. The board sat elevated at the front, faces neutral, voices rehearsed. Questions were acknowledged but not answered. Fuel markets are unpredictable. Vendor contracts are complex. These adjustments are temporary stretched into weeks, then months. Residents began adjusting their lives around the HOA, not the other way around. Weekend plans were canceled. Small luxuries disappeared. Conversations at dinner tables grew tense, focused on numbers instead of stories. The pressure wasn't loud. It didn't shout, pressed. Neighbors who had once chatted openly now whispered. Some defended the HOA, repeating the fuel explanation as if saying it often enough would make it true. Others felt uneasy but didn't know how to express it without sounding dramatic. One homeowner considered selling, scrolling listings late at night. Another picked up extra work, coming home exhausted but saying nothing. The HOA had become a presence. Felt everywhere, seen nowhere. At one meeting, a casual comment slipped through the tension. A resident mentioned knowing someone in fuel logistics. Said prices had risen, yes, but not enough to explain this. The room went still. No one argued. No one agreed. But something shifted. The explanation that once felt solid now felt thin. The numbers begin to talk. It didn't start with confrontation. It started with curiosity. A small group of homeowners began sharing documents quietly. Old statements, archived budgets, screenshots saved before pages disappeared from the HOA portal. No accusations yet, just comparisons. Patterns emerged. Fuel expenses were stable. Some service contracts had actually been renegotiated at lower rates. Maintenance costs hadn't changed, yet fees had climbed sharply. The group worked late into evenings, spreadsheets open, phones muted. They weren't angry yet. They were focused. Then they found it. A category buried deep in the budget. Administrative adjustments. The amount dwarfed fuel costs. No explanation. No breakdown. Just a number. Around the same time, a longtime HOA assistant resigned without notice. A board member skipped 2 meetings in a row. Documents appeared briefly online, then vanished. The story the HOA had told no longer matched the story the numbers were telling. What began as suspicion hardened into certainty. This wasn't about fuel. It never had been. The truth surfaces. When the homeowners finally spoke, they did so calmly. They came prepared. Printed records, clear timelines, simple questions. The board shifted in their seats. Fuel prices were mentioned again, but now the words felt hollow. Explanations contradicted earlier statements. Answers arrived late and incomplete. Then the truth emerged. Funds had been redirected. Legal reserves built for issues unrelated to residents. Consulting fees paid to firms with quiet connections to board members. Projects approved that benefited leadership, not the community. No shouting followed. Just silence. The kind that settles when denial collapses. Residents didn't celebrate. They didn't gloat. They stood together, disappointed more than angry, unified more than loud. The HOA paused fee collection. An internal review was announced. For the first time, the power dynamic shifted. Not because anyone fought, but because everyone finally knew. After the silence, change didn't arrive dramatically. It arrived quietly. Fees were adjusted downward. Some funds were returned. Board members stepped aside without ceremony. New rules were written, transparency requirements, resident oversight, open financial access. Neighbors began talking again, not just about the HOA, but about everything else they had missed while worrying. Trust returned slowly, carefully. The neighborhood looked the same. Same streets, same homes, same routines. But something underneath had changed. Awareness. On a calm morning, as porch lights clicked off and garage doors lifted once more, one truth remained clear. The fees were never just about fuel. They were about how easily silence can be mistaken for agreement, and how powerful understanding can be when people finally share it.